Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
For every veteran, there is a story about a calling to serve, to fight for the freedoms of the American people. And every story has a struggle, a sacrifice, and invisible wounds. Warrior Watts programs help veterans recover from PTSD and invisible wounds through exercise, nutrition, and connecting with other veteran leaders. It is estimated that 22 veterans die each day by suicide, and another 30 veterans die each day by substance abuse. These are preventable deaths. Warrior Watt is committed to fighting PTSD through fitness, nutrition, and community. Got the privilege and opportunity to support our heroes in their time of need. Will you join us and take action?
All right. Welcome back. MisFitNation. We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by two veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their story to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the MisFitNation. If you're a musician or actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share some of your tips with the MisFitNation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you're a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and share how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you're a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and just share your story with the MisFitNation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or are embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you're a new listener, welcome to the MisFitNation. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast apps and also on our YouTube channel at @_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date with our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show. All right. Welcome to our Sunday evening show. We are live tonight back in Clarksville, Tennessee, before we go back on the road again. We'll be up in the greater DC area this week for 2 shows and then back home for the last 2 shows of the year. Tonight we have a good one, but before we get to that, we'll pause and we'll Pay respects to another person that has joined the 22, Staff Sergeant Daniel Mata of the United States Marine Corps. We lost him this weekend. So keep him, his family, and your thoughts, his family and friends, and your thoughts and prayers. And to Valhalla, Sergeant Mata. But tonight, we have a good one. Our guest is a combat veteran with 11 years of service in the United States Army. He is also a serial entrepreneur who brings significant expertise in marketing, IT, and project management. He currently runs and operates a marketing company, No Limits Marketing Group, founded to help small businesses survive the pandemic. It uses a combination of modern marketing techniques coupled with non-lethal targeting framework learned within the military to provide clients with winning strategies. He is also a founding member of a veteran nonprofit called Vet Rally for the Troops, now part of Racing for Heroes, and has worked on other veteran-based projects. So without further ado, let's welcome Will Yeske to the MisFitNation. Welcome, Will.
What's going on, my man?
How you doing, brother? And like I said, and just before we went live,
I know you threw that on me.
We had the aha moment that we both were in the same place, just a year apart from each other, or probably overlapped each other a little bit. And the Argonaut Valley is not a fun place. It was not a fun place, and we both survived it. We're both here, but your story is out there now with the book Down the Valley. So welcome to the show. I can't wait to hear more about you and your life and pre, during, and post service. So, Will, the mic is yours. Tell us a little more about you.
Oh man, you got me pumped up in that intro. I mean, you had everything from the warrior wads, and I'm like, whoa, I'm feeling amped. That was a great commercial on there and stuff. And then you just keep them coming, before you're like, hey, or we're about to go on, but I was in the Argonaut too, and I'm like, wait, what? Oh, so then you must have seen that and been like, holy crap, like this guy, I got to talk to this guy.
I kept like an Argonaut shake.
Right? I mean, it's wild that there's been so many people either through this project, or that have reached out when they see, Argonaut stuff, or we're talking, and then they're like, oh yeah, I know that place. And it seems to just be to where it's now, people are starting to circulate, and people are getting that, oh, that place. Yeah, damn that place, damn the valley. That's the title, But yeah, man. I mean, hey, you got I was doing cars pre-service anyway. I kind of joined up a little later because so, I mean, we grow up small town, New England, and really I had felt the need. I wanted to join the Marines a little bit earlier, and I ended up getting talked out of it. And this was pre 9/11 and everything, and went to school, went down the motorsports path for a little bit, was with BMW, and then on to Subaru. And I just kind of had this thing to where I need to hit the life's reset button. And I kind of looked at it and was like, you know what? I know we're at war right now, but it's something I always wanted to do. And if you think about it in this way, it's really that chance is always there. And if you're joining up, really, quite honestly, I wanted the full experience, and man, did I get it. Right.
Yes, you did.
So yeah. Yeah, right there, man. This, I mean, really seriously, in 1 year's time with that, and people, all these different stories, and they're like, wow, must have been quite, I'm like, that was 1 year. I didn't deploy after that. That wasn't it was just how it went in the rest of my time in service. But, crazy stuff, over there. But I mean, even getting over the 82nd Airborne, yeah, that's a little bit of, you go in and you have that standard. Hey, I'm going to sign on the line. I was trying to be Green Beret right off the bat through the X-ray program. And yeah, I mean, that's a recruiting tool in itself.
Yes.
But there's a lot of, a lot of guys that were there through basic training. There was a bunch of them that ended up making it. Crazy, I mean, the regiment was hurting at that time. And I mean, after the Argondob, I went back to SFAS myself and kind of popped down over there. But, that's, that experience was quite the deal. I mean, we show up right before we showed up right before the Christmas ball, and within a year, a little bit less than a year's time, it was just one training cycle after the next, and before you know it, you're going into going over to Hellman first. That was the whole thing. As we ended up, was it 2009? So we were actually slated for Iraq at the time.
Oh,
and I was thinking Afghanistan was a little bit of a blessing, because I was like, okay, here we go. This is that. At the time, it was EFPs and urban fighting, that building to building. Like, this isn't going to be fun. So when they said Afghanistan, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, we're going to get some standoff. This'll be nice, right?
beautiful.
Yeah. And then we get to Helmand, and I'm like, man, this is deployment. This is all right. Yep. I've heard these stories. This is just boring. And we got into a tick, which actually ties in, Avon Party was sending stuff back saying, hey man, like, this place is crazy. We're going to get some hellacious firefights. This is wild. Everybody's going to get their CIBs the first week. And we get there and it's just nothing. They learned very quickly. Like, when we would leave, we'd hear across the radios, hey, circle squares are coming through. So they wouldn't mess with us. But October 31st, the day the book was released. So on Halloween back in 2009, that was our first firefight, trial by fire in Helmand province. And so we got in our first tick out there, and that went so textbook. We came off of such a high from that, in how we rolled right through. Like, it came up. They had a support by fire in the wood line. They had a squad sized element bounding up, and we just crushed it. I mean, they were unaware too. We rolled up onto the firefight. So I'm sure that was a huge difference. Yeah. Like, we had one guy running across, he came around the building, like, as soon as we were maneuvering from the second truck into the first position. And I saw him come out, and just his eyes, like, huge, big as saucers, because we were on a raised road, and he didn't realize, they were bounding up, using the buildings for cover. And he comes around, and then there's this huge, V-hole cougar sitting above, and it looks up, and they were so close, the gunner couldn't even traverse the 50 down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and that was like you hear about these things of adrenaline hitting, and the specialist cannon up in the turret is throwing the saw from the driver up into the turret from one of the guys beneath, and he jumps up into the turret and, like, just kills two dudes right there. Just smokes him. I mean, it was just, it was wild. It was wild to see. And then, we get around front and we open up. We had a Mark 19 mounted up top, and we start opening up on the support by fire in the wood line. And it was just, go, go, go. You're hearing the pings, you're hearing the zips and whatnot. And it's weird because you're in a vehicle at that point, and then down the road, when we get to the Argendob, you're completely dismounted. So it was a little bit of everything, but then, so after this firefight, we go through and everybody's getting looked over. We had one guy with a bullet hole in the armpit of his ACUs, and another one with like a tear in his helmet. I guess a bullet skipped off the top. Just, oh yeah. So some close calls there, but right. But everybody was fine, except for the Taliban. We rolled up, and we rolled back through Lashkar-Gah, and the Brits were having a little Halloween party, and it was just surreal, man. Like, we are having some burgers and fries around a campfire with our counterparts, laughing about what we had just gotten into, what could have been a very different situation, but just hours prior. So it was, yeah, and then of course it goes down to where we didn't really have a particular mission over there. And that's when, Lieutenant Colonel Frank Genio and Command Sergeant Major Burt Puckett, they're trying to get us into the fight, like any good commander would. You got a bunch of hungry infantry paratroopers that are highly trained, and they're trying to get into it, but Hellman ain't the place for it. They were trying to get us into Marja is what it was. And the Marines didn't want us there. And the Brits, I think their exact words that were told to me was, "We don't need a bunch of paras mucking about the battlefield." So it was, Marja was about to kick off, and we were just like, all right. And he went to, so Lieutenant Colonel Genio went to General Stanley McChrystal at the time, and was like, "Hey, where are you guys going next? Like, what's the next push? Where can I get these guys into the fight?" And it was, "Hey, we're surging into Kandahar next year. So I got a spot for you," and we replaced 5th ID Strikers. Yeah. Right there in the Arghandab. And that was the start of it, man. That's, we went down there, we re-outfitted at Fob Walton, and that's where we got those UCP Deltas. So we got handed a different set of a camo. And I know if you were there, I don't know, did you guys ever get or were you just straight multicam by the time you got there?
We mixed. So some of us were still in the beautiful ACUs, and then some were in multicams out there. So it's a mix. You look like a hodgepodge people when you walk next to people, as everyone did something different on.
Yeah. So you never got the ones with the brown, the affectionately known as the Shih Tzus?
Not on that tour. The next year, 2012, I got them up in Kunar.
Oh, okay. There must have still been some left over.
Yeah.
I know they were like,
when I got wounded, that's what they gave me to go back to my base.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. No, I know I had been told by some of the 101st guys, they had gotten some of that stuff and whatnot. I know once we got multicam, the difference was night and day. The only good the ACUs were really for was if you put guys up on the OP. And I don't know whereabouts were you in the Arghandab there?
So we were in right out, where Fob Wilson was.
Okay.
So right outside there, so that whole area there, and then down to Hazi Madad.
Okay. So we were, I'm trying to think, Wilson.
You were east of us. I mean,
we were east of you.
South and east, probably. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, because that was so we started out. Well, what became Cop Johnston was kind of that was covering our butt from the main avenue there, and then we were pushed in with the main element to Cop Ware, and then just because of the tempo there, so we ended up establishing Cop Ware in the Valley early December. So when you establish something like that, oh man, especially with just like the side, like two platoon elements, like that was just, it was rough. Like we got in, we held it for a few days, so we went in expecting heavy resistance. There was nothing. It was like, hey, it's winter. Nobody's fighting. Okay. This is weird. And held the area, and then these Heskos show up, and then it's like, all right, so what are we doing? Like, we're just putting up tents in the middle of a radish field, and we put these Heskos up, but there's nothing filling them. So there's zero security. Like these things, you can actually just see the burlap like flapping in them. And yeah, you got the tent set up, and we're like, I mean, there's even pictures and stuff. You could see them because it wasn't until after the first of the year. So over a month of these things not being filled. And the first IED we hit was Johnston, and that was day after Christmas. Ooh, you just cut out, Rich.
You still got me?
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said there.
I didn't say anything when you said you just cut out. I hadn't said anything yet.
Oh, I got you, man. It's just, I don't know. You still got a little bit of that strange connection going on there. But no, so the, yeah, I mean, that was the first December 26th. That was Specialist Jason Johnson. We lost him on that one. And, you know, I mean, we had other casualties. There's Private Steve Towery lost his leg. And the craziest thing about that particular incident was we had guys clearing out in front of us. And so the EOD, you know, the first guy went through with the minesweeper, minehound. He goes over it. Nothing. EOD team comes through and clears it. And they're all on the concrete. And the first half of the squad comes through, and I'm about mid stack. I went right over this thing maybe 30 seconds prior.
Wow.
And yeah, man. And then B team is coming in, and it must have just been because of the way we moved and stuff. We knew, and we tried staying in everyone's footsteps. And he must have just been the slightest bit off, because like, so after all the assessment and stuff was done, that initiator, there's no way we would have found the metal in there. Like, it was one of those like the Chinese hockey puck mines, to where like the only metal that's in it, it's like the size of a safety pin. And we were already battling, like there was high iron content in the soil. I mean, there was stuff to where it was breaking up our radio waves, to where you couldn't even, you had to have the long whip up for anything. Like, you wanted to call in anything. You know, it was, yeah, you know, I mean, you were out there. So, I mean, you know, on how it was just a weird area, to where it's almost like that black hole. You know,
and this is, for those listening, this is a flat land. It's not mountains like the movie Lone Survivor. They had no communications because of the mountains. Here it's basically a wide open desert, but just the mineral deposits and alien waste that's there just gets you.
Oh, that must have been the area you were at. Cause so where we were at the base of, like, so Cop Ware was in the orchards at the base of the mountains that were across there. And we had
right before Kandahar Pure. That's where you were.
Yes.
At that over to you.
Yeah. So like we had two OP position. We had 165 and 160. And so we would man one of them. So you'd send like a 4-man, like a little partial squad, like squad element up there, send a 4-man element up, and they'd sit up on the OP for, you know, 5 days or so until the next ones come through. And just kind of watch over, you know, either M14s, they had a few of those up there, but the Clue was the big one. So you had a Javelin up there ready to go at any time, you know, and they'd watch over. But it was crazy to see the orchards through there. We would have wildlife like coming after our patrols and stuff. They had a mountain lion, like that they literally crossed right in front of them on the OP. So there's a mountain lion just like skulking past. And then they had there was a patrol we were on, to where you hear the OP get on, and they're like, "Hey guys, there's something tracking you. It looks like a jelly bean." Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, it looks like a jelly bean. And one of the other guys gets on there, and he recognizes the shape. He's like, "Dude, that's a bear." Like, and we had this bear tracking our patrol, and they were just like, "Yo, stop movement. Let him go around." And so, and it was like, yeah, that's crazy stuff. Yeah, there was even an instance to where one of the, you know, we had a dog on Cop Johnston. Somebody named him Bowser, and one of the guys was going in to use the guys made a makeshift, you know, outhouse out there, because there was nothing. And they did this plywood outhouse, and of course it's vented up top. Well, this guy goes to go in to use the shitter one day, and this dog just starts going ballistic. And he's like, "What the heck?" And he opens the door, and the dog goes to run in to the crapper, and the freaking mountain lion that had been up on the OP comes burning out. Like, this big cat just goes running right out the ECP. Like, insane. And if that guy had gone in there, he probably would have gotten mauled, man.
It was a horrible time.
Like, who knows? Yeah, it would have been. You look up and there's a cat, like big old cat above you. Everything. It was like everything. Everything wanted to kill you out there.
Literally everything. Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh no. So that was another thing. We had a patrol to where one of the smaller guys that was with us, he was kind of falling back, and we're close to the end. So the platoon sergeant sort of let it happen, but he's keeping an eye on this kid. We had this pack of wild dogs that was kind of tracking us that night, and this kid was falling back, and they were starting to separate him away from the pack. Like, he didn't even realize what was happening. And yeah, platoon sergeant went back. He noticed it and like grabbed him by the drag handle. Was like, "Get up in front." But I mean, this kid nearly almost got picked off by the wild dogs. You know, it's just crazy.
That's nuts. And you were there a year before us, so you were the start of the surge. I guess we were the main body of this after you guys cleared and started things up for us in that area. I believe our first casualties were actually right where you were. Specialist King from the artillery battery was one of the first ones we lost right there in Argandab. So it's basically the same footprint you were in, I think.
Yep. And now there was also, before we even left Kandahar, I seem to remember seeing there was I don't remember if it was I don't think it was a Humvee. It might have been a Max Pro or one of the larger Cougars. There was a culvert they didn't clear, and they ended up losing a bunch of guys there too. Like, it was like right out in front of Cobb Johnston.
Probably they lost a lot in that area. They got hit pretty hard there. It was like I said, it was artillery turned into infantry for the mission, and learning on the fly.
I remember when they showed up, there was half of them, and we were, man, we knew as soon as they came in, we were just like, this is a bad. That was one of the first things we noticed, was that like we came back in on our left seat, right seat, and these guys weren't even like, you know, we're immediately going into dusting off weapons, you know, pulling everything apart, scrubbing it down before we, you know, hit our rack and stuff. And they're all like, "Oh God, like we need to rest up before guard rotation." They're like, "No, man, like you need priorities of work. Like you need to be ready to go at a moment's notice, because you don't know what happens out here. Like it could just be go time like that." You know, it happened on multiple occasions.
Steep learning curve. It's a steep learning curve, and if you don't study from the people who've been fighting there, it's hard to catch up unless you are a good study, I guess. Even the guys who replaced us, they didn't want to listen to a word we said. They knew everything because they read the call magazines and stuff. We told them, that's not how this works. It's not how it works here at all. Don't go there. Don't go here by yourself. No, we can do it. All right. What you got to do. Do what you got to do, and we'll see you.
Yeah, that's that, believe it or not, that's the underlying theme here. I want to say is that, quite honestly, it seems that a lot of the destruction end of things was all ego based, quite honestly. You know,
especially
you gotta be able to put that stuff aside. Yeah.
Seeing like I guess the first 30 days and the latter days are probably your worst days in combat. Everything else was kind of flash. It's all the same stuff over and over again. But the first 30 days, you're like that, either ego or cocky or whatever. You know more than the guy that's been there. Okay, James Bond, go ahead, do what you got to do. But learn from those who are there, and then follow what they say, and then maybe tweak it as you go, as you get comfortable. But do what they have done to be successful and come home before you.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And that's really, I mean, that's part of kind of like the follow-on projects and some of the stuff that I've been doing outside of there too, is like military and guys that have been in, we're really good at following instruction.
Yep.
That's like where, if it's like the side of an AT4, you know, it's a kid could fire the dang thing because the instructions are printed on it. But if you give us those frameworks, and that's part of what I did with the book stuff, is like I paid attention every step of the way. Okay, like what's the pros and cons here? What have I learned here? Where should I be looking here? And taking notes down on there. And it's like, okay, all right, next guy that comes along. And we already have, you know, once I announced everything and got a little bit down the road, one of the guys from, you know, and I talk about it in the book, one of the guys from the element that was across the river from us, they started writing a book as well, you know, and he's like flying around the country interviewing people. And, you know, I'm like, man, it's awesome. And I was able to get him a sit down, or at least an introduction with the editor of the company that published this one, you know, with Casemate. and that's really what it's all about, is helping each other out and propping each other up through this. I've kind of experienced both sides of it, and some of it, it's those gatekeepers and stuff, man. There's some of it just makes me super angry, when it's like, but then I have to stop and take that breath and go, all right, what are you learning right now? Is that how, like, cause at one point you might be at that level. So like you have to think that someone else's might approach you in the same way. What's your reaction going to be like, or why is this happening right now? Is it because you don't have enough of a voice, or is it, or is it something else? What are they looking for? I guess what's the lesson being taught at the time? What's the universe trying to teach you? And there's been so many things during this to where it's irrefutable. I mean, literally, so the cover on here, this is a real picture from the scene of Cop Brunkhorst. So second platoon was out at the town of Diakache, staying out of one of the buildings there. We were so saturated that they split all the platoons apart. So, which is why this particular book comes from first platoons. Yeah, because I mean, we literally operated in three separate. First platoon was moved out to Cop Johnston because we had been out at Cop Ware and the workload was just so bad. So they're like, all right, let's give them a break, send them out to Johnston. And the plan was to like rotate third back into over there too, so that they would get their turn. But it just ended up to where second platoon got pushed out to Diakache. And the scene on the front cover here is after a 1,000-pound V-bid was exploded and it flattened the compound that second platoon was in. I mean, guys buried alive. The U.S. troops that, got hit in that, there were no casualties, or at least there was no KIAs on our side. We had, like half of them got medevaced, a bunch of them came back after getting checked out and everything. But this was taken during the recovery of it, and someone saw the flag, underneath the rubble and stuff. And the guys were like, no, like that doesn't sit right, man. And they pulled it back out and hoisted it back over. But when this picture showed up, as I'm, starting to tell the guys and the word is starting to get out and stuff that I'm writing this thing, one of the guys, Brian Erickson, contacted me and he's like, hey man, like I actually have that flag. I recovered it from the battlefield when we left. Like I have it at home. I'm like, what? And it took a little bit of time. Like, and we kind of like searched around. First we called the unit and we're like, hey, do you want this maybe for the unit display case or something like that? It's a piece of the history. And we couldn't really get a hold of them. And it ended up to where it just ended up perfect to where the Airborne and Special Operations Museum was the first event for the book launch. And we just rolled everything into, so that flag got dedicated there along with a whole bunch of other artifacts from that particular deployment. The guys showed up in droves. I mean, all these pictures that you're seeing on the social media campaign, the Damn the Valley book, those are the guys. Like I had 5 grainy Facebook pictures when the publisher was like, do you got pictures to give us for this thing? And I just said yes, because I knew that if I asked, like the guys would we really did. We had something special there. Quite honestly, the group of guys that's there, this would not have happened without them, for one, and they've been extremely supportive. Like they've been through all of it. They've looked through all of it. We've gone back and forth. There's been multiple instances to where it's like you get those different views and stuff, but through it and through sharing these stories and like kind of reopening some of the traumas, because some of these guys didn't want to talk, and I was okay with that. But I was going to say, I think everybody but one of them actually ended up calling back, and eventually talking to me. There was one who was adamant about not talking. He was ticked off, and I finally just explained to him, I'm like, hey man, look, like I get it. And I understand what you're going through. Like I am messing with your like foundation here. I get it. I'm not trying to do that. I want to present the story correctly, accurately and truthfully. And without your input, there's certain stuff that I can't get without you. And you know that. I'm like, let's just talk so it's right. Like, and I'll shoot you anything that, and again, we can go back and forth. And quite honestly, like a lot of these first drafts that came back, there was barely anything that ever needed to get changed.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And the feedback
awesome.
from it has been incredible. You know, it's just been to get some of the stuff back. And then, I mean, even more recently, the day before Veterans Day. So I couldn't be out to an event to where Sebastian Younger was speaking at the National Veterans Museum out in, I think it's Ohio. And I was like, man, that'd be a really cool event, you know, but I'm speaking at the Airborne Museum tomorrow for my own book launch event. So like, shut up, man, you got a cooler event to be at. But I got contacted by one of the Alpha Company guys, and, you know, we were talking back and forth, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to be at the event. And I'm like, dude, I know this is a lot, but could you try and get a copy to Younger? And he's like, oh yeah, like, not a problem. I don't think I can do it, but like, if I can, I'll hand it off to him. And that night, or the night of the 10th, we were, you know, in Fayetteville, kind of meeting some of the guys that showed up to this thing for dinner. And I get this picture with him holding a book up next to Younger wearing an old Two Fury shirt. And I'm like, dude, man, you guys, incredible. Just, and I think that would probably be the biggest takeaway from this whole project is like, you could, but you really can't do it alone. If you want something to really shine through and to be the best version of what you can offer, it's got to be a collaboration with the other guys, man. And that's what it's been every step of the way. I mean, I've had everything from people helping me out with making commercials from voiceovers that were like, hey, use this script and, you know, and we'll make you a voiceover. And it's like just blown away with the amount of support and the people that come out to, you know, endorse the book on that end and stuff. It's been incredible. And it's been a wild ride. It's been good.
It's a good ride, dude, definitely. And you bring up Sebastian Younger, you bring up in the same light, you say it takes the village basically to get something going. He wrote a great book called Tribe, and it's exactly what you're talking about right here. And it's based on his interactions around the world, but more specifically Afghanistan, where, you know, you learn a lot about tribal life and things like that. And that's what we need. And it takes everyone working together to make things successful. And you learn that in the military, you learn to rely on that person to right and left. And for you guys, your platoon, that became your real family. I mean, you have your blood family, but that family that you fought right next to you for all that time, that's your family forever.
Oh yeah. And it's just a different, like, I mean, those guys just go to the ends of the earth for you to where, I mean, and it really, you know, and it's like, you don't want to let them down either. Like that's the other end too, is like, you have that mutual end of like, you don't want to see them fail. You know, and again, it all just wraps right up into the whole, I can't, there's no end. It's all full circle. Like it really, like you're saying that book Tribe. So like Tribe was actually a book that and it's just funny on how this worked out. So when I got out of the military and went back to school, I ended up going to Towson University for my undergrad for business. And it's funny. That's actually the sweatshirt I'm wearing now is from their military and veterans club. Well, I spoke there on Thursday.
Okay.
So I got to speak to some of the guys there, and it was really good to see, because that military and vet center has come such a long way in the 4 or 5 years since like I've been at that school. I kind of like started beating on their door because I was like, hey, you know, like, let's get these guys together and like, let's get them in one spot and everything. And what I didn't realize is there'd been so much work done behind the scenes by the guy that showed up as I was leaving to really build that community within there. And it brought me to tears, you know, to see how these guys showed up. And I was like, man, like, it ended up being more for me,
Right.
which is funny. Weird how that worked out.
Aha moments there. Yeah. So I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
down
it was
in
cool.
Murfreesboro, Tennessee, I don't know, I guess a month and a half ago. And the head of the military department there for Middle Tennessee State University came in. He's a retired general, I'm sorry. And he was talking to us, and he said he doesn't go by general. He just goes by whatever his first name is. And people ask him to do this, this, and this. He said, no, you ask the cadets, the guys that are trying to get through military science, they're the ones you talk to. And these young veterans that are coming to the center, they're the ones you talk to. And then if there's a problem, to me, and we'll fix it. We'll fix it. Not I'll fix it. We'll fix it. And the center is just booming. They do everything for the community. They have a community. It's great. If I was living closer there, I'd go there every day.
Heck yeah. I mean, do you think too, is that like possibly, because I know that there is that whole issue to where you see a bunch of the guys out there where the VA payments and stuff start to become a handout as opposed to like, using it to actually better that end or maybe supplement, as a secondary income. Like you have that other revenue stream that allows you that foundation or that base, to be able to do these other options. Like, I don't know, write a book or be involved in your community or, yeah, I mean, I'm just start it. Yeah. Anything, but like make yourself useful and then find out where you fit into there. And I know it's just learning along the way, because I know I have a bit of that myself and I'm starting to see that end of it. But it is, send me kind of thing. It's been great.
Right now, audience right now, Willis is on here. He's from Homefront Sit Rep, another podcast that's up out of Kentucky.
Yeah.
I've been on his show. He's been on my show, and I kind of took him under my wing, mentored him a little bit, just because I know, like you said earlier, we all need to push each other up.
Yes.
And his is blown up. It's doing great. He started a roundtable we do, and we do a roundtable once a month now. We get a group of veterans to get on and talk about veteran issues. And we did this last.
Awesome.
We sat and we sit there. Of course, we talk trash to each other first, then you get
Oh,
to
yeah.
focus the group. You got to do it. And
if there's how we do things.
If there's a Marine in there, you throw some crayons out there, you do stuff like that, and everything works out in the end. But it's a great thing he's doing, and he's actually doing great things, and I'm proud of everything he's doing, and I can't wait to see where we all go next.
That is awesome. That is so and now how big's the group, like the round table here?
This last one, I think we had 6 on it, and we'll rotate people, and we had actual 2 guests on this one.
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool this time to bring some expertise in there.
Yeah.
First time we talked, it was right when Hamas attacked Israel. This one, it was a little charged in that one. There was guys that were from as far back as Black Hawk Down days, 1993, to current guys. So there's different opinions on what's going on and stuff. So it's good to get that healthy talk, that healthy vibe in there, and still be able to smile at the end of it and say, "Good talk, bro." And then this time we talked about current things. Of course, suicide comes up a lot because that's one of the biggest things for us. And I'm a big advocate. You just said it now. There's the handout. I like to give a hand up. I like to give our fellow veterans a hand up, not a handout, because that makes them not rely upon you except for advice. Give them that hand up, and this is the direction you need to go. Here's your compass. Here's your map, and have a good time. And we'll be back to check on you later.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. Like the teach a man to fish versus same deal.
Yes. And Willis is on right now. He gets a hand up, not a handout. So.
Absolutely. No, that's it is.
He'll probably reach out to you to get you on his show too.
I'm all about it, man. No, that's honestly, that's been, and that was one of the biggest things, like with the publisher and stuff. They even they came back and they're like, because I was on Team House, and I think one of them said, I don't remember if it wasn't the publisher. Somebody said it recently though, that whole, man, this book is really blowing up. It's quite the overnight success. I just started laughing, and I'm like, do you know how many I did 18 podcasts, I think now you're number 20 or something, 20 or 21, but it's like, to get on this stuff, you got to do the reps, and it's like, there was so many different shows across there, and wow, you sound really good on there. And I'm like, yeah, go listen to the earlier ones, and you can, I have no shame in it, because it's like, this shows the progression behind it. And it was like, okay, I'm still, you can hear right now, I'm unpolished during this stuff. I'm still figuring out my way on it, but one day we'll get there, but we'll all get there together. Right.
be a fun ride getting there. That's what you got to do. Have a fun time. And if you listen to my earliest shows, I'm in episode. I just published episode 330 tonight, right before you came on. And if you go to episodes 1 through probably 20, some of them are recorded in my Jeep while I'm driving. In a Jeep, Jeeps are pretty loud.
Yeah.
So they were raw, uncut, and I don't do a lot of editing. If you say something on here, it's going on there. So and this is live, so I can't change what happens live. I don't have an easy button here. So I believe that if what we said is what was meant to happen, unless there's some kind of glitch, like you said earlier, I'm fading in and out. That's just my Max Headroom stuff happening there, so that's good. But if you listen to those and see where I progress from there, now I have an actual boom mic. My wife put me in the studio up here because she got tired of me downstairs. So here I am. And you got to keep progressing. And someday I'll have maybe a classroom so we can see other.
There you go. Absolutely. And that, I know.
So
I keep getting the eye because of they see the new piece of equipment coming in, or the key lighting, and they're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "It's my job."
Was that approved?
Yeah, right. Sorry, Major didn't sign off on it. No.
How many microphones do you need? Oh. Need or want?
All the microphones. No.
All of them, definitely. So where is the book sold everywhere, or is it like just online or in stores as well?
No. So we've been having trouble with the in-stores, and I'll explain that. So you can get it on Amazon. Amazon's the quickest, the easiest. You can get it at the publisher, Casemate. They do military history. That's actually why I went with them on everything. They did a fantastic job on like the editing, and like I know like I supplied the cover stuff, but working with me and everything, they did a really good job they were really good about keeping the vision and whatnot. But yeah, Amazon, Casemate, Barnes and Noble. So Barnes and Noble is weird. They got in X amount of copies to where they haven't been able to keep things in stock. Like we sold out the publisher's warehouse a week before the actual publication date. So they had nothing left to send out. And then the publication day, bookshop.org went down. They didn't have anything left. Barnes and Noble had like one copy left in their warehouse, nothing in the stores, because they were like, everything's already gone. We're like, what? So they reordered more, and they still haven't had enough to put on the shelves. They're gone again. Maybe eventually, I'm hoping they get on the shelves by Christmas. Like they just placed this massive order, so we'll see. But yeah, Amazon right now is like the quickest. I also have a side project for author signed copies that you can get them online. And the reason why I did that is that for every 2 of those author signed copies that I sell, I can get 1 copy to the guys that were there. And that's my goal, is to get at least 150 copies out to the guys that were over there, and it might even develop into something else, over time. But that's kind of that. I hate asking for that, like, hey, donate money to give something, and be like, no, I feel like I at least owe something, so I need to put it into crowdsourced, but it's not marked up, same as retail, $35, and I'll get you out a signed copy. I usually send them the next day. And you can check it out on social too. At Damn the Valley Book across Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit now. I mean, you name it. I know, right? Well, I figured out Reddit reads, and I was like, oh man, like there's a bunch of guys on here that are actually reading.
People are there. It's good.
Yeah. And I mean, you can get almost like all of the stories and stuff on damnthevalleybook.com. There's actually something up there to where, and I want guys to do this, share their story, because through this, that's the whole thing, is like, let your stories be known out there. And it doesn't just post up on there, but I have something called the Wall of Stories, and send stuff in. I'll put it out there, as long as it's not like vulgar, disrespectful, or nasty towards someone. Yeah, I'll put it up there, man. Like, this stuff is real and it needs to be told. The stories in this book are very real. Like, it's not, I don't do something to where it's a nonfiction book and it reads like some dry, boring deal. Like, you are in it. Right. I don't know if you've read some of this stuff that's sent it, but like, you are in it. and that's actually one of the things that was discussed by a few of the guys too, is like they were getting smells and cravings and stuff. So, I mean, it does bring up some of this stuff from other guys. And so, I mean, like, be aware of that getting into it. But it's been good in the way of therapeutic and guys sharing their story and getting this stuff out there and being able to share it among, peers and among guys that understand, that have been there before.
Outstanding. And this has been great chatting with you on that. Of course, we're Arkansas veterans together. I was just a little away from you there. The Misfit Nation, you asked why, and I think the pre-show, the Misfit Nation comes from that deployment. My platoon was the Misfits. And since 2010, we've stayed together tight, just like your platoon there. And, on December 31st of 2010, we lost Sergeant Michael Beckerman. He was clearing a compound in Hazimadad, and him and or the lieutenant stepped on a device, and we lost him, and the lieutenant became a triple amputee. But that's our why. That's why the Misfit Nation's still alive today, is because of that platoon in 2010 in that same damn valley.
Man, I got to hear your story sometime, man. We got to either, you said you're coming out to the DC area, which I'm not all that far away from there, by the way. Man, I wish I had known.
I'll be up in Sterling. So.
Okay. Yeah, you're right around the corner.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Probably get on the what's a gold line that goes further up there, I guess, or whatever, yellow line. I'm not sure if one goes there, but I can jump on that and meet you at a train stop.
There you go.
All right, brother. Any tips you want to share with the audience on how they can be successful without getting a handout?
That's too easy, man. Like, honestly, it's never about you in that. It's all by, with, and through. Like, that's 100%. It's never, if it's based about you or you're lone dog in it, you're that lone wolf. You're going to have a lot harder of a time. Smooth out the slipstream. Ask the people around you, man. Like, get your mentors and stuff, get the crew around you, bounce ideas off people, and always be learning. Like, I'm not saying like put down the TV remote and stuff, but I mean, like, fill those times. Like, that was one of the things when I was going to school, one of the biggest, I learned so much in the way of, I had an hour commute to school and an hour back, and I would listen to podcasts, and I would put on podcasts that dealt with, hey, what do you want to learn? Like, where do you want to base this? And it's an hour learning in and an hour learning back, instead of music and stuff like that. And I would just take from that and then reflect on it. And honestly, I probably learned more in those hours than I did in some of those classes that I went to, quite honestly.
Guarantee it. Especially we're enjoying it. So
yeah, exactly. I had some good class. It was a good school. Honestly, it was a really good school. And I love to hear that now the Veteran Center is, doing the things they're doing, and they have the community that they are, because really that's, again, I'll just hammer it home one more time, community and that point of being together there, and you're saying we're on a show called the Misfit Nation. It's about that network, man. It really is.
Definitely 100%. Will, it's been great chilling with you tonight. Hope you have a great rest of your month, and especially the holiday season. Much success for the book. And if we do get to cross paths up that way, it'd be great to chat and share our stories.
Heck yeah, Rich. Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, brother. No problem, brother. Anytime. If you want to come on again, just give me a holler.
Absolutely. No, it's been awesome.
All right, brother. Have a good night.
Too.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all of our past episodes and get some of that great Misfit Nation gear. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.